Hello everyone, Andy Schwab here with your Northern Ag TV. Well, the Montana Cattle Committee bill has certainly hit a roadblock. According to Montana Farm Bureau Federation State Governmental Affairs Director Carly Johnson, that House Bill 119 is likely going to be moved to an interim study resolution.
And so that's going to look into what benefits it could provide. It's going to look into what other states do around that. And it's going to look into whether or not a referendum is a viable option. And if there are existing boards or existing infrastructure, if you will, that we can utilize for the cattle committee. So we're hopeful to get that across the finish line and hopeful that that's something that we can study in the interim.
Now that committee hearing is set for later today in the Senate Agriculture, Livestock, and Irrigation Committee. And as you may recall from the USDA's Perspectives Plantings report 2 weeks ago, the sunflower acres across the country are expected to be up 49% higher than those year-ago levels. Now, North Dakota leads the acres across the entire U.S. after the Peace Garden state producer said they intend to double down on the sunflower acres at 450,000 acres versus 230,000 from last year. John Sandbakken, National Sunflower Association Executive Director, told me despite that large increase in acres, some sunflower companies are still offering a producer a chance to plant sunflowers this year.
You know, with this big boost in acres, is there still opportunities out there to grow sunflowers this year? Indefinitely. Like I said, our acreage is down, considerably last year. So this year we're really catching up. And the crush plants, the confection processors are all still offering cash and act of God contracts, even with this large acre increase. And it just tells you that even though we are seeing a nice bump in acres, there's still a need for more sunflower acres this year.
Sandbakken said the reason for the increase is likely coming from the higher value of a crop that is largely unaffected by tariffs and foreign markets. And USDA is planning to severely slash its county service centers offices around the country. Even more so, the agency is considering the thought of potentially consolidating county staff into state committees. The move comes as USDA leadership has warned its 100,000 plus employees that major staff cuts are coming, offices will be closed, and people will be forced to relocate if they want to keep their job. USDA is currently sorting through the employees who submitted their request for a deferred resignation program that would pay them potentially through the end of September, but terminate their employment. One of the caveats of the announcement, though, in those offices in the rural and underserved areas, well, they are protected to maintain service. We need to take a quick break. We're going to come back and look at your ag markets right after this.
From the beginning, we've worked closely with farmers. BNSF's ties to the agricultural community go back 175 years. Together, we've innovated to make the U.S. agriculture supply chain one of the most efficient and productive in the world. Our strong relationship powers BNSF still today and helps us move the nation like no one else can. At BNSF, we move the nation for you.
Talking with someone that you know is stressed out, those are difficult things to approach, but if you're good friends with those people, reach out and say, I'm here to talk to you. We can find somewhere to get some assistance. It's hard to get involved, but at the same time, you want to just say, hey, there is help available.
For more tips in dealing with stress in agriculture or for free counseling for egg producers, visit beyondtheweather.com.
Well, today's cattle markets might find softer prices as traders take position ahead of the latest cattle on feed report. Of course, that report is set to be released after the markets close this afternoon, and really they're not going to be able to trade on the reaction until Monday, with the board being shut down in observance of Good Friday holiday tomorrow. Many pre-report expectations are anticipating to see total on-feed numbers 2% lower than year-ago levels. For cash cattle trade, they also could see a boost today, with many feedlots holding out for higher prices on Wednesday, with some early bid indicating $5 increases for some live cattle. For the local auctions, headcounts continue to be quiet around the region, with Bowman Auction on Monday finding steady prices for coal cows and heiferettes, seeing that same trend. When we switch over to the grain market, wheat markets were firmer on Wednesday across the three major futures contracts on what felt primarily like a technically driven bounce. The softer U.S. dollar index likely could be pointed at as a source of strength behind that Wednesday's positive price reaction, as weather forecasts for the next 2 weeks did limit the upside reversal. Now, the U.S. row crop markets were able to post modest gains on Wednesday as well after it was announced that negotiations with Japan have begun, with President Trump himself taking part of the talks. Meanwhile, it's also reported that China has been open to beginning trade talks with the U.S. as well, even appointing a new negotiator for the next round. Well, that's going to do it for our Northern Ag TV. I'm Andy Schwab. Have a great rest of your day.